It's John Ross with the John Ross Show. We're just going to do a brief one today, but it's going to be, I think you should know about this individual. And we'll be talking about, in a 1 second here or two, 78 degrees outside right now, and at 5 p.m. here. And it looks like the Cubs are in the bottom of the ninth, according to what I got an update on my phone there. We'll see what happens. If they lose today, there'll be a decisive game tomorrow to determine who moves on in the playoffs. So let's see what happens. We'll wear this cap as long as they're in the playoffs here. I'm abandoning, no, I'm not abandoning it. I'm going to be a Chicago person. I tend to be more for the White Sox, but we'll be for the Cubs here because we want some winners in Chicago. This October 1st date, we're going to be talking about remembering John Huffman. And he was a pastor who told Richard Nixon to confess. Now you say, I remember that. Well, maybe you do, maybe you don't. It was in 73 that Mr. Huffman, here's a picture that I picked up from his page about his passing, his obituary. He just passed, and he'll be remembered. He was born in 1940. Oh, shucks, I don't have the exact date he died. It was just real recently, last few days. And 1940 to 1925, he was out in California at Newport Beach Presbyterian Church for many years, and that's how I got to know about him before that. But my late cousin Betty Free Swanberg and her husband went to that church. It was a little ways away from Santa Ana, but they thought that Dr. Huffman was a good man, and she had went to school at Dr. Huffman at Wheaton College, and my cousin graduated in 1962 from Wheaton College, John Huffman. Now, Mr. Huffman did a lot of stuff in the evangelical front. He went to Wheaton College, he went to Princeton, he went to other institutions, and I was reading on the Wheaton College site about his love for history. He thought we should be well-rounded as Christians, and I agree with that. I wish I'd take more history after I majored that in college. My history is not quite as up to date. I mean, it's good, but it could be better. And I think we should. That's why I like news and that. So Mr. Huffman is right up my alley. He's got a book that I might be reading. He wrote a book too lately in the last years about some of his experiences. And what happened was in the 60s and the late, the 60s and the early 70s, Huffman was down he was at a church in Key Biscayne, Florida. And I'll say, Key Biscayne, Florida. Well, Richard Nixon liked to go down there and have a little vacation, relaxing time. And he had a friend, this name I always remember, B.B. Rebozo. And I guess B.B.'s church, and I don't know if it was so much his church, but Huffman had done a lot of things earlier in his career on the political front. He'd been a young Republican at Wheaton College, and I think others knew that, and they knew he knew Billy Graham and others, and his family had come from Wheaton. He went to Wheaton Academy, and So he was in Florida at a church there, Key Biscayne, I believe Presbyterian it's Presbyterian, I think it's Key Biscayne Presbyterian, and he was the pastor, and it was Easter 1973, and a lot of these Watergate things were floating around. So Huffman, according to the article here, I encourage you to read this and pick it up from Christianity Today, a magazine that Huffman later was part of and on their board. And he was with Christianity Today for many years there. And the author's name is Seelman. Hope I pronounced that right. Where did I put that? There it is. Seelman. And that's the CT author of this article. It's a nice article. And I encourage you to read that, folks. And about Mr. Huffman and how he blended his evangelical faith with the world. And he made a statement. I'm going to pick it up. I forgot to pick it up here. We're going to pick it up right now. He made a statement that was very interesting about his faith. And I want to put that up here. He made this sometime just a little before that period in a Miami Herald article. And I'm going to, let me see if I can do this right. Here's how he put it. I'm going to put myself down here. He said, many of us today don't want Christ around. He said in one sermon, which was reported in the Miami News, not Herald, excuse me, Miami News in 1968. We may pretend to worship him and call ourselves Christian, but we don't want to disturb the comfort of our lives. So after Mr. Huffman preached that sermon, I think he lost contact with Bibi Rebozo, of course, and he never Nixon never came back. And Mr. Huffman went to Pittsburgh later in a church, and then he left that. It was a prestigious church, but he went out to California and went to Key Biscayne, and excuse me, that's where he was, Florida. He went to Newport Beach, California. He was there over 30 years or more at the Presbyterian church there. And he did a lot of work and writings and other things. And like I said, he was on the board of Christianity Today, which his father had been involved with, I believe. And like I said, he knew Billy Graham later on, but he was born in 40. You know, Billy Graham was a little older. So it's just with respect for Dr. Huffman, and I think we should remember him and his family. And thank you for his legacy of standing up to power. And we need that today more than ever, people that would stand up to power. And it's just a tough thing to stand up to power. And the church needs to do that. And that's why I want to honor Dr. Huffman. And like I said, he knew my dear cousin. And I never got to meet Dr. Huffman, but I did visit the church on a weekday once with her in Newport Beach. But it's just a privilege to talk about a man who stood up to power with love and affection. He stated that he talked to Nixon that way as a friend, and he wouldn't do that. That's how he viewed his comments, that Nixon should come straight forward and be a better person. And he used an Acts, I think it was 26, about Agrippa, I think it's what the article says. And we need more stand-up people in the church. So thank you for Dr. Huffman, and just bless his family. And we just thank you for your legacy, Dr. Huffman. And I'll have to get his book and read that. That's what we got to do. So thank you right now for just listening with me today, and we'll carry on and do some more things. But we're going to just carry on, and we'll see you then, Lord willing, on Friday. So we'll see if the Cubs won in the ninth inning. That's very difficult. There probably is another game tomorrow then. So for right now, we're just going to say bye-bye, everybody, and God bless, and thank you for taking a few moments with me and remembering Dr. John Huffman. Thank you. Bye-bye. God bless.